Let's do Todd. We have in the bottom left-hand corner as the red Protoss player representing Team Dignitas. Always a strong showing here at I-Series. Can he come back and try and win another title? It starts here with Dignitas BlinG. His opponent in the top right-hand position. Perhaps most famous for his 2-racks openers before switching to Heart of the Swarm. People saw him recently when he won at the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore. He's been doing a little bit of it, but not quite as much in Heart of the Swarm. What's he got here against his Protoss opponent? Representing Western Wolves, we have Sting.
I thought you were going to say most famous for winning a tournament, and then you say the 2-racks.
Well, he basically, I mean, a lot of people suggested he 2-racks his way to winning that tournament, which he won a lot of his games with 2-racks, but you shouldn't take that away from him. He played like some amazing macro games as well, and the guy is very good, but he does 2-racks a lot more than most Terrans. He really loves his early game aggression. And
both players so far have opened with a very standard build. We do not see Sting going for the command center first. We do not see BlinG going for the Nexus first. He went for the quick gates. He chose not to scout right after that, so he's going to be very limited as far as informations go in this game. He can get a mothership core very early on if he wants to really try and see what his opponent is doing, or another possibility here. But since he didn't go for 2 gases, it's less likely. He could make a sentry and try to hallucinate something very early on to see exactly what his opponent goes for. But if you don't scout like this, you would usually try to open very safe as a Protoss. And I like the pylon on the bottom right-hand side in his base and the cybernetics core. If he makes a gate just above, he's gonna lock one corner of his base, and if he ends up getting dropped in this area, it's always nice to have this sort of wall, because Hellions or Mines or Marines will have a harder time moving around, and then you have the photon overcharge, which shoots really far. Yeah, that's a great point, actually. You want to be able to restrict the movement of units if they do get into the base. Of course, the best case scenario is not to let them in the first place, but if they do get in, you want to make sure they don't move around so that you can kill those units off quickly. And Sting, he opened with a quick wall-off at his ramp. He's going to go for the reactor. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a command center behind this, then adds on a factory. This is the build we've seen most top Terrans use, especially the Koreans. MVP used it a lot before, Yoda as well. I was calling it the MVP build, but then some people argued with me that it might be the Yoda build. And then yesterday I was actually flying with 4GG from France to here. And when I talked about him, when I talked about the build to him, he was like, hey, my build. So maybe he thinks it's his. In the end, we'll never know. For now, we're just going to call it the factory into command center. Into, actually, yeah, the command center into factory, I'm sorry. Builds, MVP build, what do you think? What should we call it?
Oh, I don't really think any one player has done it like so often that we can just sort of name the build after them, but I completely understand where you're coming from. This is, of course, nothing too out of the ordinary so far. Sting going for his expansion, so at least noting that there's only 1 racks here. But then again, he's been playing a lot longer games, I would say, since the Heart of the Swarm beta came out, and he's such a skilled player that even if he's famous for his early game aggression, he can come out and play a macro game absolutely no problem, and he actually showed us that in his most recent tournament in CBIT as well.
And BlinG, I just checked his account actually. He's ranked 20 Grandmaster right now in Europe, which is obviously pretty good. We have 4GG in the rank 1. Definitely one of the favorites to win this tournament. But yeah, BlinG doing pretty well for himself. And he's played very standard so far. I don't really like the position of his 2 additional gateways in the top right-hand side of his base, because photon overcharge usually will not reach all that far into the corner. So if he was to get dropped there, it would be harder to defend. But Sting, for now, is just going to start some mines. He's going to get a medivac out and most likely start some harass as he expands. But behind this, he's going to have a choice. Usually you see Terrans adding on 2 extra barracks just after they expand. Oh, he hasn't actually used this second mule just yet as a mothership core. We'll fly into there and see exactly what's happening. BlinG knows everything he has to know right now. He should not use a time warp, because otherwise he's not going to have enough energy for photon overcharge. He has to pull back right now. Yep, killing off a Marine there, losing all the shields on the mothership core. A couple of hit points going down, but nothing too major at the moment. And Sting is simultaneously moving out with some Marines and a Widow Mine into the natural expansion. SCB, they're going to go down, just really scouting to see what BlinG has. 4 Stalkers and a Zealot later, decides actually now might not be a good time. The Zealot is going to go down at the Watchtower, sees exactly what Sting's got. So both sides now have a pretty accurate picture of their opponent's army composition. And it was a bit sloppy of BlinG to move out so far from his main with his mothership core. He's gonna get dropped here in a second. We had afterburners used here. on the Medivac. Look, his Mothership Core is so far out on the map, he's not going to have Photon Overcharge to defend, but he has a couple Stalkers and Obs.
Yep, he saw it. He actually saw it with that Observer, but the Stalkers are not on the edge of his base. They're waiting to pop in and see it now, but the Medivac gets out in time, so good abort there from Sting. He's currently on 54 supply and a little bit supply blocked, unfortunately. Supply depot on the way, though. BlinG at 61 supply. The worker supply, as it currently stands, is 40 to 32 in favor of our Protoss.
And very strong defensive. Oh, the Medivac is going to fly in there.
And yes, the Widowmine does root itself, managing to pick off a couple of probes as well. Number of workers killed at the moment, 6 to 2, 7 now in favor of Sting. So this drop did end up being relatively useful after all. And the Medivac is going to get out, picking up the Widowmine as well on 32 hit points. But I would say that was a very good move there from Sting.
Yeah, and Sting is added on 2 tech labs here. He's actually made those from his starport and factory, so he's just had to fly the barracks here just now after making a couple Marines, so that's going to be really nice for him. He's going to be able to start Marauder production. He's transferred a whole bunch of SCVs on his expansion, and he's up to 37 SCVs to 39 probes. He's definitely has an advantage right now with the mules, but BlinG is looking to put some pressure on. He's moving across the map with a couple Stalkers.
Yep, and here we go. BlinG deciding that now would be the time to try and put some hurt back on Sting. He's entering the natural expansion right now. A Widowmine right there does a decent amount of damage, picking off a Stalker immediately, and an Observer coming in as well now. So Sting is going to have to defend with more units, but with the bunker down, there's not really too much BlinG can do in this position. Yeah,
and I like the reaction here by Sting. He moved forward to try and save his mine friend from the Stalkers because he knew an Observer was going to be on the way, but BlinG able to pick off the mine and then pull back. BlinG is actually adding a couple gates here. He's going to go for the Blink first. Not charged this time, but he's getting the armor upgrade, which is always right versus Terran. He's getting a couple additional Observers. He's got 3 already, 4 now.
Yeah,
that's quite a lot.
It is indeed. I think BlinG just wants to be extra mindful, like getting a lot of information out on the map. At the moment, though, he's taken his forward watchtower, but his Observers aren't really in the best position right now. They're still on his half of the map. He needs to send them to good position so that he can spot the army coming along, and it looks like the first one is going to spot the Medivacs and the army moving out across the bottom of the map.
And Sting right now is committing a lot to all of his barracks units. He's getting a lot of Marauders out at once, a bunch of Marines. He hasn't started a 3rd command center or 2 additional barracks just yet. And BlinG, he's getting to the Templar Archives. He's up to 6 gates right now, or 6 gates. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up to 8 gates and starts taking a 3rd, but I think Sting will start putting on a lot of pressure. He did finally start his 3rd command center, but BlinG is going to have to defend those drops very, very well if he wants to stay in this game here.
Yeah, BlinG hasn't really done too much aggression since attempting to poke in and seeing that the bunker and the Widow mines were down with those Stalkers earlier on in the game. And that's just given Sting a little bit of leeway at the moment to sort of move out across the map, exert some pressure. And I like that he's taking his 3rd behind this as well, because if you're not going to be taking any pressure in return, then there's no reason not to expand.
And BlinG is actually very short on sentries here. He has only 3. He's going to throw down a couple of force fields and try to catch a small part of this Bioforce, but Sting microing very nicely. Photon Overcharge being used here, Jorosar.
Oh, a nice BlinG forward, trying to pick off the Medivacs here. That could end up being crucial for BlinG. Is that last Medivac going to go down as well, using the Afterburners to pop back, and now the Zealots are getting a decent surface area. Is it going to be enough to push this army back? It looks like it is in a head-on engagement there with a couple more force fields. BlinG would have won that outright, and yeah, the rest of these units aren't going to get chased down as well, but BlinG still losing more.
And very good micro here by Sting. He was very Marauder heavy. There was a lot of Stalkers. With BlinG, he sniped manually all of them. He actually killed every single Stalkers in the army of BlinG. BlinG just remade 4 Stalkers, but I mean, losing all of the Stalkers, trading against the Terran army, never really cost effective. You make those Stalkers to really bring support to your Zealots, snipe those Medivacs, not give them any room to do any damage to your economy. But now, Sting, even though he hasn't damaged the economy of BlinG, in a direct sense of it, I mean, he did attack and he forced BlinG to cut probe production, but besides this, he didn't really kill any probes except from the start. He's going to find himself on 62 SCVs against 54 probes for the moment, and he's looking to put some more additional pressure here. And BlinG, he has to commit to lots of units here. He does not have Storm right now.
That's right. We have 2 more upgrades in Storm on the way from BlinG, but they are still only about halfway done. So this potential timing coming out of here from Sting could actually be decent. He's going to move towards a 3rd base location just in case a base is there. A Widow Mine is already set up. He's going to do a lot of damage here if BlinG isn't careful.
And 2-2 is on the way for BlinG here, but can he save this base? The army supply right now, 39 for BlinG, 64 for Sting. I think BlinG, he has to let his base go, but couple decent storms hitting a few of the units here. Will he have enough? The army of Sting actually took quite some damage, and he had to use Steam Pack twice, so it looks like Sting has too much anyway.
Yeah, the Zealots just went down pretty quickly, although this extra warping of Zealots should be enough to force Sting away. But the problem with that was the Zealots vaporized just a little bit too quickly, and you don't want to be in a position where a Marauder-heavy Terran composition starts picking away at your Stalkers and your Sentries. That's really where BlinG suffered the damage.
And yeah, BlinG with the nice defense here. He's going to find himself on 2 armor upgrades. He's going to actually ground weapons level 1 is about to finish. He's just started ground armor level 3. Sting, he's about to have 1-1 and then 2-1 a bit later on. He's going to keep the pressure on. And we see BlinG going for his standard War Prism here. He likes to drop the Templars. He likes to storm a lot. And we have another engagement here.
Yeah, oh, and the reinforcements in the back from Sting are very, very numerous indeed. These charge lots, though, still holding strong. It's taking a while for them to disappear off the map, and now finally we see some kiting back. BlinG is going to have to move back as well. Do we have storms available with these Templar? Yes, we do. So Sting has to be careful with his positioning. The Observer sees him come up the ramp, but not there in time to storm. Is he going to get one on the way out? No, it looks like Sting able to avoid.
Oh, and the Templar surviving with 1 hit point. It has enough energy to storm here. Very important save by BlinG here. Sting is on 154 supply to 129 for BlinG. I think Sting, if he gets 10 ghosts and they don't fight before it, BlinG not being adding on Colossi right now. You see actually he's just adding on a second Robo and a Robotics Bay as well to switch into the double Colossi tech. But I mean, Sting is going to have so much army, he's going to have Ghost. I think he's going to want to look to end this game here. Oh, and BlinG is going to move out and get caught here.
Oh, wow. Being very aggressive here out in the middle of the map. But the Templar are in the back. They are not within storming distance just yet. Now they come along. Excellent storm from BlinG. And a good feedback on one of the Ghosts as well. 2 more follow-up storms. But where's the army to support these Templars? I think it's all disappearing. Every Templar goes down. There are a couple of Zealots in the 3rd base there, hacking away at those SCVs. Sting needs to get a few units down there so that his SCVs stop getting killed. 16, now 17 workers killed. They've actually been very cost-effective. But the problem for BlinG is back home.
And this engagement was supposed to be good for BlinG. I mean, if you can catch a small part of the Terran army, which is ghostless pretty much, I think there was 1 or 2 ghosts in there, he could have really stormed everything and killed it. But Sting, using the mobility of the Terran army with Steam Pack to move around, not get stormed too much, and trading cost effectively for the moment, he's going to find himself on 4 bases. He has a great economy with 65 SCVs to actually 70 probes. So BlinG,
yeah,
not doing too bad economy-wise in this game. If he takes a force and he's given enough time to tech into, say, if he gets 4 Colossi, he's going to be in a great position here. He's about to get his first 2. He's going to start a force base on the top left-hand side of this map.
Now, 2 big things just happened. The Warp Prism got taken out in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, and Sting finally finishes that 4th command center. The Zealots initially that went to try and do the harassment at the 3rd base took out the SCV building that command center, and nothing was building it. It was on about 95% for a good minute or 2 in the game. Really frustrating times there. But now that the War Prism's gone, with his next push-out, he may even want to consider floating a 5th command center down to the bottom right and maybe try and stay ahead of bases.
Yeah, but I think right now he's wanting to put some more pressure on before there is too many Colossi. When you have this many Ghosts, you're not really afraid of Templars. If you just keep on scanning, EMP and snipe, you're going to be able to get a great edge. Oh, nice CMPs on those 2 Colossi. It's going to get stormed.
Oh, very nice EMP. The first storms do go off, but the High Templar are almost completely out of energy. That was the last storm. The Colossi go down. All of those gas-heavy units at the 3rd base completely obliterated from BlinG here, and Sting is going to move in for what looks like might be the kill, but hang on a second. A lot of Zealots popping by. Immediate EMP, though, takes away all their shields, and Sting gets away. He currently has a supply advantage of only 10, though. BlinG, overall, is doing a good job hanging around in this game. Sting continuing to put the aggression on.
Yeah, and BlinG had left a lot of his army supply in his natural expansion, so it was missing in the beginning of this fight. Because of that, he lost his Colossi, and he's going to find himself in a very bad position, I think, in this game. He's about to lose a Robo. He's going to be on only 1 Robo.
Oh, 1 more shot to kill that medevac. It was on 5 hit points, Todd. Just getting out of there, picking off one of the robotics bays. But the 2nd robotics facility, is still around, and it looks like it's going to get rebuilt straight away as well. So this transition means that at some point soon, we should probably start seeing larger scale Viking production come out of Sting, just 1 at a time at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And surprisingly enough, Sting, he hasn't researched the ship weapons for his Vikings just yet. So if they are 0-0 and they're facing 3-3 Colossi, they're not going to do all that much damage.
Yeah.
So suddenly I feel like BlinG He's pulled himself back in this game. Every time they traded, I wasn't sure, but no, I definitely think he's ahead. He has a force base. He's going to warp a Templar there already. He has to be careful. There's a Marine moving in position to maybe snipe it on the top left-hand side. He's going to have to warp a Zealot. Oh, the Marine sees it. He's going to chase it. Can he get it?
No.
Doesn't look so.
No, not quite. It was close, man.
And Sting is going to move in position to maybe attack again here. Again, before there's too many Colossi for him to handle. Although he's getting Vikings, I mean, as I said, he doesn't have upgrades yet, and you never want to let a Protoss be able to turtle and get his ideal army composition.
Oh, it needs to be so careful. The upgrades are 3-3 versus 2-2 at the moment in BlinG's favor, which is nice, but it's so clumped up. EMPs would do such a massive number on that group of units over by the 5th base of BlinG. Sting still hasn't flowed to the command center over to the bottom right, so very shortly he's going to be on 4 base versus 5 base, and BlinG is just starting to look healthier and healthier the longer this game goes on.
Yeah, and Sting, I mean, he's taking a very delayed 5th, considering how quickly he took his 3rd and 4th, I think. And this is going to backfire eventually. I mean, his economy is not going to be nearly as good as it should be. And, oh, he finally starts the ship weapon. But, I mean, we already have Colossi 3-3. Plasma Shields is going to be researched now. Those Vikings, they're going to take all those Colossi, man.
Yeah, this is getting to a point where the Viking numbers aren't quite enough at the moment, and it leads me to believe that as BlinG gets a good position and he decides to go for a straight-up engagement right now, there's no real reason why he can't win as long as his position is good. Maybe if he has like a couple of force fields available, but look at this. The Templar have a lot of energy on them, so many storms with this army. There aren't enough Vikings at the moment to take out the Colossi quickly. Things are looking good at this point of the game for our Protoss.
Yeah, and BlinG is going for the late-game Dark Shrine here. I really like this move. Oh, a couple Zealots here will be caught. Sting, with the very nice map awareness, he's always leaving Marines on the path to his base. His 3rd base almost mined out. He's going to have to transfer this to his 5th base. And we have BlinG taking down the rocks in the middle of the map here. He's about to attack. Yeah,
it looks like it. The most direct route, of course, to that 5th base is through the rocks in the center of the map. Until then, the rush distance on Daybreak is actually quite large. That Templar is seen by the Marine at the Watchtower. I did not like that Templar moving forward from BlinG just because the Watchtower there would have been seen by Sting. And a really nice snipe takes it out before it can get a storm off.
As Puri pointed out here, we had no turrets ready. This DT should not do too much as long as it's seen soon. And BlinG Sting goes for this scan. And I think this is the worst base to send a DT at. Because you reveal it, and then on each base, Sting is going to make a turret and be able to detect those DTs, and we had no more DTs sent anywhere. So a couple Zealots here going to try for a run-by.
Yeah, he spent a long time attacking the Planetary Fortress as well instead of picking off SCVs. So at the end of the day, not that much damage done by the DTs. The Zealots are going to head into the natural expansion, but the army pops back from Sting. Is BlinG going to use the opportunity to try and attack elsewhere? He is. The army's moving it across the middle of the map, but he maybe could have done that slightly sooner. And it looks like we might have an engagement here, but a lot of ghosts coming in from the back from Sting. The Vikings engaging the Colossi now, but both sides backing off before we get into Storm and EMP range.
And at this point in the game, the hardest thing to do is to engage well against your opponent. If BlinG engages, he's going to get his entire army EMP. It is going to be so tough for him. He needs to come from more than one side. But Sting, if his army is clumped, it's still going to be very strong. He can EMP, he can spread out, he can choose the concave in which he fights. Nice storm going down on those units here, and I think BlinG is going to have to take a fight here.
That's right. Now, Sting does have to dodge these storms very well or get some really good preemptive EMPs off. The Archons melt in the face of a couple of early EMPs. The Templar are so far behind for BlinG. Half the army is dead before the storms can even get in there, and that's potentially disaster for him as Sting continues to move, and he's at 165 to 120 supply, taking a decisive lead now, and he's going to take out the 5th base. How can BlinG get back from this? The Templar have become Archons. There are no more storms available. There are no gateway units supporting the DPS now from those Archons, and I think BlinG here, unfortunately, might be on the verge of losing here in Game 1.
He's in a lot of trouble. I mean, he's going to lose this base for sure. Sting is going to press forward. He wants to take out this middle base, and BlinG, he has to spread out his Templars a bit more. He does get a couple nice storms off, but I mean, there's just so many ghosts. Even though he damages them, those medivacs will keep on healing them. Oh, another Templar sticking in from behind. Going to be able to storm again, but there's just too much from Sting here.
Yeah, Zealot's taking out the 3rd base, but it looks like they're about to get cleaned up as well, and the 4th base was left mining through this entire time. They might get a command center. No, that's even being lifted as well, and that was really what BlinG was trying to do with a counterattack. He's down to 100 supply now, to the 160 from Sting, who's even getting high-sec auto-tracking at the moment. Things are just looking fantastic for our Terran player.
Yeah, and he only had level 1 ship weapons, but I mean, it wasn't enough. There was just not enough army from BlinG. He wasn't even maxed. He had a lot of money. He should have had extra gates ready to warp. He should have had more units in position. He wasn't in position against this army of Sting in the end. He had to take a fight in a place where he was very clumped up and EMPs did way too much damage, so he's going to find himself on 102 supply right now with only 56 army supply to the 119 army supply of Sting. BlinG in a world of trouble right now in this first game.
Exactly. Guys, if you want to take a look at what the armies are looking at right now, the army supply is 125 for Sting versus 56 for BlinG. A straight-up engagement would almost guaranteed be a win for our Terran player unless we saw the world's best positioning here for our Protoss. And at the moment, that's not what we're getting. The Vikings are slowly taking out the Colossi. There were a couple of storms, but nowhere close to enough to push this army back. Ghosts moving forward now as well. BlinG is down to 3 bases. Sting is back up to 5. And it looks like he's moving in for the kill. GG.
Very